New since 5, a woman tells us her friend was horrified as she described how an officer sexually assaulted her. And she told Channel 2's investigative reporter Mark Winnie that she was horrified to learn the officer was able to plead guilty to lesser serious charges. Mark's live in Decatur. Mark?
Chief James Conroy says the officers who had Darren Dye Harrell in jail within hours are far more representative of Dekalb police than Dye Harrell was. In this handwritten resignation, Dye Harrell says, "I want to apologize for embarrassing the department." But this is about much more than embarrassment. Why are you speaking out?
Because what happened to her could have happened to me.
I'm just blessed to be alive.
It was just out of grace, I'm gonna say that I wasn't a victim that night.
Althea Lewis says she was the designated driver on a trip to a restaurant bar December 2015 with 2 other women, but the next day, the inability to get one of the women on the phone drove her to check on her in person.
She burst into tears.
Ms. Lewis says the other woman, call her Ms. W., told her she'd been sexually assaulted by a police officer, later identified as Dekalb officer Darren Dye Harrell. An allegation so outrageous she still has trouble digesting it.
Can you think of any reason why she would have made that up at that point?
None whatsoever, and unless she's been to an acting school, her demeanor was horrifying.
Ms. Lewis says she was horrified to learn recently the most serious allegations against Dye Harrell were not among those to which he pled guilty.
Did then Officer Dye Harrell sexually assault that woman?
No, he did not.
Dye Harrell's lawyer, Michael O'Hagan, says prosecutors made the right call. He says there's no dispute Dye Harrell responded to an altercation in which Ms. W. was involved at the restaurant and insisted on taking her home in his police car, though she was not charged. A courtesy ride, O'Hagan calls it.
You felt like you had no choice in the matter?
No choice.
O'Hagan says Dye Harrell admitted stopping in a park en route to her home, and though he initially lied about it, eventually he admitted having sex with her, but consensually.
He had sex with me without my consent.
But O'Hagan says the now former officer consistently maintained she came on to him in the parking lot and in the car in graphic ways. Not so, says her attorney, Chris Stewart.
How this one was justified just bothers us and should bother everybody in DeKalb County.
Stewart says Ms. W. has been consistent since the morning it happened, that she never consented and went along without resistance because she believed he would kill her if she didn't. Arrest warrants charged Dye Harrell with aggravated sodomy, kidnapping, false statements and writings, and violation of oath. But later the indictment in the case listed only 2 charges, making a false statement and violation of oath. No aggravated sodomy or kidnapping counts. Records indicate he pled guilty, and the judge accepted the prosecution's recommendation, which his lawyer says boiled down to 1 year in prison, 4 years probation, a fine, community service, a psychosexual evaluation, and STD test.
I told him, God forgive you, and so do I. Forgiveness goes a long way.
You have to make tough decisions.
Robert James says he was DA when the case played out this past December and did not handle it personally, but the prosecutor who did, one of the best,
Did he do the right thing?
Absolutely.
acted on his ethical duty not to bring charges he did not believe in because he doubted parts of the alleged victim's story.
Reasonable doubt is the highest standard in law.
Now, Stewart says he plans to seek justice another way in a lawsuit after the county declined to negotiate. Now, I got a statement in behalf of current DA Sherry Boston saying, in part, as a result of your inquiry, we have reviewed the matter. It notes the plea was prior to her administration. Quote, I can confirm that the law prohibits the case from being reopened to pursue additional charges. Quote, under my administration, my staff and I remain committed to victim advocacy. The DA's office provided their file on the case today, still going through it. We find anything you need to know about in here, we plan to bring it to you. Reporting live, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.
All right, Mark, thanks for those details.